Tottenham host Liverpool in the EFL Cup on Wednesday night, with both sides vying for a spot in the domestic cup final. I hope you all had a fantastic break over Christmas, over the holidays. I hope you all got the rest you needed. And in this video, I've got a few high value angles to cover. I'm personally really looking forward to this clash, and it's because we don't need to cast our mind back too far to remember when these sides last met. It was just before Christmas in a game that finished 6-3 in favour of the away side Liverpool, and it was a very memorable game. In that game, Liverpool amassed 5.63 expected goals, and they fully took advantage of a depleted Spurs backline. Those problems have only worsened since, as Spurs currently find themselves on a 4-game winless streak. They were most recently beaten 2-1 at home by Newcastle. However, it's worth noting that they had 10 players listed on the injury report, including both first and second choice goalkeepers. Vicario and Forster were out, which meant Brandon Austin starting in goal, third choice keeper. They also had both their starting centre-backs out, Van der Ven and Romero. Ben Davies, Destiny Udogie were out, so they were extremely depleted, particularly in defensive areas. That's obviously not a great sign for Spurs coming into this game, especially when considering how the recent head-to-head fixture went down. However, it's worth bearing in mind that this is obviously a semi-final, it's not a league game, so anything can really happen. Spurs went with this lineup in their previous game against Newcastle. The focus here is the double pivot of Papsar and Bergvall, who were both replaced after 60 minutes. Bergvall by Maddison and Papsar by Bissouma. Bissouma was on the bench obviously. Bentancur was suspended, so left out of this game. However, Bentancur does return against Liverpool, so I would imagine he comes into the lineup, most likely for Bergvall. But I am actually very interested in some of the prices on offer for the Swedish international, so I'm going to mention him anyway. From his limited data this season, Bergvall was actually averaging 2.79 fouls per 90, and he's made at least one foul in every single start. That comes in addition to 2.94 tackles per 90. He appeared only off the bench against Liverpool in that recent head-to-head game for a half an hour appearance, and in that time made 3 fouls, 2 tackles and was booked. So he's a good player clearly to target for duels in the centre of the park. Looking into some of the prices offered by 365, I think they've priced him up quite generously for both tackles and fouls. He's priced at 2.5 to register 2 or more fouls, alternatively 2.1 to make 3 or more tackles. So I think just on the surface, those two look way too big. The fouls price, I'm probably leaning towards being the better value. Alternatively, if you would like to double the two, you can get Bergvall to commit 1 or more foul and 2 or more tackles, which comes out at 2.0, which looks fantastic value if he is obviously to start, given how easily this bet landed in that half an hour appearance recently. Moving on to the second angle, and I'm going to talk about another player who I'm not certain will start in this game, but that is Diogo Jota. Since returning from injury, he's made 6 appearances off the bench, and he's looked relatively sharp. He's got on the score sheet twice in those 130 minutes across those 6 games, and given how Arne Slot has sort of tended to rotate in the EFL Cup, I think there's an outside chance he gets the nod to start as the starting striker. We might potentially see Luis Diaz or drop to the bench or shift over to the left, but I would say Jota has a decent chance of starting this, and in a fantastic matchup against a very leaky Spurs defence. I think the target here is for him to score any time, to score first, if he is to obviously have his minutes restricted, or just for shots on target. Jota did feature in that game against Spurs just before Christmas, and despite having just a 1 shot off target, it's worth noting that it was a big chance worth 0.12 xg, so he sort of has the tendency to pop up in good positions. One player who was not wasteful though at all was Mo Salah. He registered 2 goals and 2 assists in that recent head-to-head game against Spurs, while also having a total of 7 shots. He hit the woodwork, and he also missed a big chance, so there was plenty of chances available for the Egyptian, who put in a man of the match performance. He's priced at 1.95 to get on the score sheet again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which I think looks a really nice price on the surface, as does Diogo Jota at 2.2 if he is to get the nod and start up top. If you want to go a bit safer and maybe lean towards the shot on target markets, Jota looks fantastic value, as I mentioned again, 1.53. and that can be doubled potentially with Salah, comes out at 1.75, or alternatively going for the sort of higher ladders and going two shots on target for Jota looks another nice potential angle to play. I think just based on how Spurs have had to contend with so many defensive injuries recently, they finished against Newcastle with a backline of Jed Spence, Archie Gray, Pedro Porro and Reguilon, and it's difficult to see those players sort of putting up much of a resistance for or against Liverpool. And that's why my sort of angles to target for this game in this video have been for Liverpool players to score, Liverpool players to have shots on target. I just think those are sort of angles to sort of attack in this fixture, especially when considering how strong Arne Slot's side have been in the attacking third. The final angle I would like to cover in this video is for Alexis Mac Allister to register 2 or more fouls. He had exactly 2 fouls against Spurs in the reverse fixture just before Christmas, before he was substituted after 68 minutes as Liverpool led 5-1. He also made 4 tackles, so he was involved in plenty of duels. He was up against the likes of Maddison and Kulusevski predominantly. If those two can start again, that would be a fantastic matchup to once again target Mac Allister 4 fouls. In that recent head-to-head game, Kulusevski drew 3 fouls playing on a sort of wide right position, while Maddison drew 2 fouls playing in the more central zone. So Kulusevski was actually involved in the most ground duels of any player for or in the game, with 18, so he saw plenty of the ball. And if he is to sort of play in a more central position as he hasn't in the last few games, he'll be likely directly up against Mac Allister in the middle of the park, and that is a matchup to target. Kulusevski is averaging 1.54 fouls drawn per 90 this season in all competitions, and that rises slightly to 1.62 when playing at home. Bet365 actually top price for Mac Allister to register 2 or more fouls. He's priced at 1.8. However, I'm actually going to suggest taking this with Sky. So although they are a bit shorter, you can actually add in the bet builder function Kulusevski to draw a foul, and that double comes out at 2.1. So as I mentioned, I think if Kulusevski is to sort of start in that central attacking midfield role, he should be directly up against Mac Allister. So I think if Mac Allister is to make at least 2 fouls, there's a fair chance at least one of those will be on Kulusevski. So I would advise taking this with Sky as a double rather than the single on Bet365. Paddy Power are at 2.0 for this same bet. However, please bear in mind that they are not offering Super Sub. That concludes all of the angles I intended to cover in this video. So just to summarize, I've touched on Bergvall duels, Jota anytime goal scorer or shots on target, Salah anytime goal scorer or shots on target, and finally Mac Allister fouls. Best of luck for any bets you decide to go with for this game. I would like to thank you all for supporting the channel, and I will catch you all in the next video.